मैं सपना लेकर के चला हूं। इसका बहुत अधिक फायदा बिहार के मेरे गरीब भाई बहन, दलित भाई बहन, महादलित भाई बहन, पिछड़े भाई बहन, अति पिछड़े भाई बहन, ये सारे जो योजनाएं चला रहा हूं, सबसे पहले फायदा इनको मिल रहा है। बिहार में पीएम आवास योजना से 57 लाख से ज्यादा पक्के घर बने। यहां सीवान जिले में भी गरीबों के 1,10,000 से ज्यादा पक्के घर बन चुके। मैं एक जिले की बात बोल रहा हूं और ये काम निरंतर जारी है। आज भी बिहार के 50,000 से अधिक परिवारों के लिए घर की किस्त जारी की गई है। और जानते हैं मेरे लिए दोहरी खुशी किस बात की है? ये घर ज्यादातर माताओं बहनों के नाम पर है। मेरी जिन बहनों बेटियों के नाम पर कभी कोई भी संपत्ति नहीं होती थी, अब वो अपने घर की मालकिन बन रही है। साथियों, हमारी सरकार घर के साथ साथ मुफ्त राशन, बिजली और पानी की सुविधा भी दे रही है। बीते सालों में देश भर में 12 करोड़ से अधिक नए परिवारों के घर नल पहुंचा है। इसमें सिवान के भी 4.5 लाख से अधिक परिवारों को पहली बार नल से जल मिला है। गांवों में हर घर में नल हो, शहरों में पीने के लिए पर्याप्त पानी हो, हम इस लक्ष्य को लेकर काम कर रहे हैं। बीते सालों में बिहार के अनेक शहरों के लिए पानी की पाइपलाइन और सीवेज ट्रीटमेंट प्रोजेक्ट बनाए गए। अब दर्जनों और शहरों के लिए पाइपलाइन और सीवेज ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट स्वीकृत किए गए हैं। ये सारे प्रोजेक्ट गरीब और मध्यम वर्ग के परिवारों का जीवन और बेहतर बनाएंगे। भाई और बहनों, आरजेडी कांग्रेस की करतूतें, इनके कारनामे बिहार विरोधी हैं, निवेश विरोधी है। जब भी अपने मुंह से ये लोग विकास की बात करते हैं तो लोगों को दुकान, कारोबार, उद्योग, धंधे सब में ताले लटकते नजर आते हैं। इसलिए ये बिहार के नौजवानों के दिल में कभी भी जगह नहीं बना पाए। ये लोग बेहाल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, माफिया राज, गुंडा राज और भ्रष्टाचार के पोषक रहे हैं। साथियों, बिहार का प्रतिभाशाली नौजवान आज जमीन पर होने वाला काम देख रहा है, उसे परख रहा है। एनडीए कैसा बिहार बना रही है, इसका उदाहरण मढ़ौरा रेल फैक्ट्री है। आज मढ़ौरा की लोकोमोटिव फैक्ट्री से पहला इंजन अफ्रीका को एक्सपोर्ट किया जा रहा है। यह अफ्रीका जाएगा, वहां की गाड़ी को खींचेगा। आप सोचिए, अफ्रीका में भी बिहार का जय जयकार होने वाला है। ये फैक्ट्री उसी सारण जिले में बनी है जिसको पंजे और आरजेडी वालों ने पिछड़ा कहकर अपने हाल पर छोड़ दिया था। आज ये जिला दुनिया के मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और एक्सपोर्ट मैप पर अपनी जगह बना चुका है। जंगल राज वालों ने तो बिहार का विकास इंजन ही ठप कर दिया था। अब बिहार में बना इंजन अफ्रीका की रेल चलाएगा। ये बहुत बड़े गर्व की बात है। मुझे पक्का विश्वास है बिहार मेड इन इंडिया का एक बड़ा सेंटर बनेगा। यहां का मखाना, यहां के फल सब्जियां तो बाहर जाएंगी ही। बिहार के कारखानों में बनने वाला सामान भी दुनिया के बाजारों तक पहुंचेगा। बिहार के नौजवान जो सामान बनाएंगे वो आत्मनिर्भर भारत को ताकत देगा। साथियों, इसमें बिहार में बन रहा आधुनिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बहुत काम आएगा। आज बिहार में रोड, रेल, हवाई यात्रा और जलमार्ग, हर प्रकार के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का पर अभूतपूर्व निवेश हो रहा है। बिहार को लगातार नई ट्रेनें मिल रही है। यहां वंदे भारत जैसी आधुनिक ट्रेनें चल रही है। आज हम एक और बड़ी शुरुआत करने जा रहे हैं। सावन शुरू होने से पहले आज बाबा हरिहरनाथ की धरती वंदे भारत ट्रेन से बाबा गोरखनाथ की धरती से जुड़ गई है। पटना से गोरखपुर की नई वंदे भारत ट्रेन पूर्वांचल के शिव भक्तों को मिली नई सवारी है। ये ट्रेन भगवान बुद्ध की तपोभूमि को उनकी महापरिनिर्वाण भूमि कुशीनगर से जोड़ने का भी माध्यम है। साथियों, ऐसे प्रयासों से बिहार में उद्योग धंधों को तो बल मिलेगा ही, इससे पर्यटन को सबसे अधिक फायदा होगा। इससे दुनिया के टूरिज्म मैप में भी बिहार और अधिक निखर कर सामने आएगा। यानी बिहार के नौजवानों के लिए रोजगार के अनगिनत अवसर बनने वाले हैं। साथियों, देश में सबको आगे बढ़ने के अवसर मिले, किसी के साथ भी भेदभाव न हो, ये हमारे संविधान की भावना है। हम भी इसी भाव से कहते हैं, सबका साथ, सबका विकास। लेकिन लालटेन और पंजे वाले कहते हैं, परिवार का साथ, परिवार का विकास। हम कहते हैं सबका साथ, सबका विकास। वो कहते हैं परिवार का साथ, परिवार का विकास। इनकी राजनीति का कुल जमा निचोड़ यही है, अपने अपने परिवारों के हित के लिए ये देश के बिहार के करोड़ों परिवारों का अहित करने से भी नहीं चूकते हैं। खुद बाबा साहब आंबेडकर भी इस प्रकार की राजनीति के बिल्कुल खिलाफ थे। इसलिए लोग कदम कदम पर बाबा साहब का अपमान करते हैं। अभी पूरे देश ने देखा है कि आरजेडी वालों ने बाबा साहब की तस्वीर के साथ क्या व्यवहार किया। मैं देख रहा था बिहार में पोस्टर लगे हैं कि बाबा साहब के अपमान पर माफी मांगो, लेकिन मैं जानता हूं ये लोग कभी माफी नहीं मांगेंगे, क्योंकि इन लोगों के मन में दलित, महादलित, पिछड़े, अति पिछड़े के प्रति कोई सम्मान नहीं है। आरजेडी और कांग्रेस बाबा साहब आंबेडकर की तस्वीर को पैरों में रखती है, जबकि मोदी बाबा साहब आंबेडकर को अपने दिल में रखता है। बाबा साहब का अपमान करके ये लोग खुद को बाबा साहब से भी बड़ा दिखाना चाहते हैं। बिहार के लोग बाबा साहब का ये अपमान कभी नहीं भूलेंगे। साथियों, बिहार की तेज प्रगति के लिए जो लॉन्चिंग पैड चाहिए वो नीतीश जी के प्रयासों से तैयार हो चुका है। अब एनडीए को मिलकर बिहार को तरक्की की नई बुलंदी देनी है। मुझे बिहार के नौजवानों पर भरोसा है। हम सभी मिलकर बिहार का प्राचीन गौरव फिर लौटाएंगे। बिहार को विकसित भारत का मजबूत इंजन बनाएंगे। इसी विश्वास के साथ आप सभी को विकास कार्यों की फिर से अनेक अनेक शुभकामनाएं। मेरे साथ दोनों मुट्ठी बंद करके हाथ ऊपर करके बोलिए, भारत माता की। जिसके पास तिरंगा है वो तिरंगा लहराएंगे। भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें आईटीवी और इंडिया न्यूज न्यूज़ का मीडिया स्कूल। आईटीवी नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का। आईटीवी नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीकी से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से आईटीवी नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है। इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर। आईटीवी नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त, मजबूत, जिससे आप बनेंगे पत्रकारिता की दुनिया का वो चमकता चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी।
Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on Newsx. Our big focus this hour, a 3-member panel of senior judges has recommended the removal of Justice Yashwant Verma, the former Delhi High Court judge at whose residence piles of burnt 500 rupee notes were found in March. The Supreme Court appointed panel interviewed 55 witnesses and recorded Justice Verma's statement and submitted a 64-page report which was first sent to the President of India, Draupadi Murmu, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The panel investigating the recovery of a large stash of cash from the residence of Justice Yashwant Verma concluded that there is sufficient substance in the allegations against him. The committee found eyewitness accounts and visual evidence of a significant quantity of banknotes, some of them half burnt, at the judge's Delhi home, and also flagged his unnatural conduct, including his failure to report the incident. In fact, the report also confirms that half-burnt currency notes were in fact seen while firefighters were putting out the blaze that started late March 14th and spread to the storeroom in question. The report has said as many as 10 witnesses examined by the panel acknowledged having seen burnt or half-burnt currency notes. Furthermore, the committee said access to the storeroom where the fire broke out and the cash was found was controlled exclusively by Justice Verma and his family. It also noted that the room was later cleaned out and the notes disappeared. The inquiry has undeniably established that a substantial amount of cash was recovered from his premises. Joining us at this point is Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul, former Supreme Court judge, for his perspective on this big story. Justice Kaul, welcome. Thank you for being with us today on Newsx.
Thank you.
My first question to you is, what is your first reaction, sir, to this probe conclusion, which I read out and which I'm sure you must have seen earlier in the day, which says that there was serious misconduct?
The report has come in public domain only today. I have quickly browsed through it. But see, they have recorded evidence, there's no doubt about it. There are certain conclusions which have been drawn on the basis of some presumptions. Let's understand this is not a criminal trial they have undertaken. But I think, some conclusions like because he did not protest to go back to Allahabad, etc., some adverse conclusions have to be drawn. I wouldn't be able to, support those. But they have gone on the basis that the preponderance of possibilities remain. That that he was aware of these currency notes. The problematic issue is that nobody other than the oral testimony of what are perceived to be currency notes, not a single note of them is available for any analysis. Why the police did not take them into it, why did not seal the room, I don't know. But these kind of things raise some questions, I think, because they have far-reaching consequences for the judge concerned.
Yes. Justice Kaul, also, I have to ask you how much credit is due to former Chief Justice Khanna and the current CJI for the transparent manner, the way the details were put in public domain?
So, well, I do appreciate the fact that things have been kept in public domain, because this is something which was affecting the judiciary as a whole, I think. And a lot of criticism came in public domain, and, people also made stories out of stories. If you see the kind of figures which were being bandied around, certainly which was not there even from the video or otherwise, and I have spoken earlier on public domain on this issue, saying, look, there are some burning notes which are seen in a corner, which is what the report also says. In a right corner of the room, the police and the fire brigade people saw some notes.
Yes.
Quantum is unknown, not a single note analyzed. This is the problems I envisage.
Yes. Now, I have to ask you this question, which many are also discussing today. What happens next? What is the procedure for the removal of a judge?
So this will now, it is for the parliament. It comes into their domain, because the government is debating to introduce a motion for impeachment. It has to carry forward a certain number of MPs.
Yes.
They're seeking to build a consensus. One of the issues which has been cropping up is that, is this report which is to be relied upon for purposes of the proceedings which will take place? In my respectful view, that is not so. This is a report which is a preliminary report to assist the Chief Justice in making an opinion whether something further is to be done or not. That report undoubtedly is adverse. There is, of course, a grievance of the judge that he hardly got any time to respond to the report, which was in a few hours. That's a different matter. With the Chief Justice having forwarded the report to the government, the 3-member inquiry which is envisaged in pursuance to the proceedings which will take place if they are introduced, is something different, I believe. So I don't think this can be a replacement for the committee to be formed for purposes of impeachment.
But also, how much does this damage the credibility of his rulings now, henceforth, if it is suggested that there was indeed corruption happening?
See, this is the issue. Is it corruption happening? Even nobody has been able to establish that these are, even with some iota, that this is kind of money received for some purposes of any judicial proceedings. Whether, if there is money, whose money is it? If the money is there, is it for some real estate consideration or not? These are all speculative ideas. Please understand that the judge, in a period of over a decade, in both Allahabad and Delhi, carried a very, very good and impeccable reputation. Also, his performance was rated very high. And Delhi is a place where it is very difficult to hide. Delhi High Court has again is one of the high courts which is always in the glare of the Supreme Court and the public because it's the capital of the country. For an outsider to come here and make an impact is not easy. He did make that impact, but for this episode now coming, there's been never any talk of any integrity issues or performance issues of the judge concerned.
Yes, that it is. However, of course, this report today would of course be quite a setback, and that's quite a minor adjective that I'll use definitely.
Yeah.
But the courts, Sanjay Kaul, are so important to the running of our country. What more can be now done to ensure that rogue actions do not demean the judiciary as a whole?
See, even here, I tend to agree with you, it has had a damaging effect. Now, whether at some stage the judge still considers putting in his papers is his call. There is a view which has been held that it may be better, even if he feels this is somewhat unjustified, in the larger interest of the system, to maybe put in his papers. But that's his call. See, the judiciary works in a particular domain, in a particular manner. This episode has come to light. But nobody has been able to find out, really, if you ask me, whose money it was, where did it come from, what was its purposes. That kind of a thing has not happened in this scenario. But it is enough to certainly damage the judge. I do believe that his future in the judiciary would be quite problematic, given the scenario as it is, irrespective of what happens in the proceeding which will now take place.
Indeed. So the onus on him now to step down. Otherwise, you believe the ball is now in the ambit of Parliament, and they are the ones who will take the decision, perhaps as early as the monsoon session itself.
Yes, Parliament has to take a decision, but they have to constitute a committee, in my view.
Okay.
If they have to sit within the 3-member committee to be constituted by the Parliament is different from this 3-member committee. He may get maybe a better opportunity if he thinks there. Maybe he would like to give some explanations for it. Ideally, he may be looking to, I'm speculating, he may be looking to some cleansing of his whatever has happened and yet step down. That's a possibility which I think I feel is the most probable.
All right, Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul.
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार
Welcome back. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. The headlines this hour.
बिहार में जंगल राज का सफाया किया है.
In fourth visit to poll-bound Bihar this year, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates and lays the foundation stone for multiple development projects for the water, rail and power sectors of the state. Tensions continue to simmer and conflict hit Manipur as 2 separate incidents of gun violence were reported, leaving an elderly Meitei farmer injured and a Kuki woman dead. Additional reinforcements from state and central forces have been stationed to prevent further flare-ups. A new era will kick off in Indian cricket on the first day of the opening test match between India and England in Leeds. Led by Shubman Gill, Team India will take on Ben Stokes' England in the first match of the 5-match series. An Indian student from Delhi pursuing studies at the University of Calgary in Canada has died. The student has been identified as Tanya Tyagi. The circumstances surrounding her sudden death remain unclear at this moment. A leaked phone call between Thailand Prime Minister Shinawatra and a former Cambodian leader has brought her coalition government under immense pressure. Despite apologizing, the scandal has triggered the exit of a key coalition partner and intensified calls for her resignation. Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar confirms that India attacked 2 important air bases in Pakistan, Noor Khan Air Base in Rawalpindi and Shorkot Air Base during Operation Sindoor. As the Israel-Iran conflict enters its 8th day, both countries trade barrage of missiles and drones. The exchange marks a sharp escalation in a week-long air war with no clear signs of de-escalation or a diplomatic off-ramp. Amidst the ongoing Iran-Israel conflict, the White House announced that US President Donald Trump plans to decide within the next 2 weeks whether the US will intervene in the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict or not. Tensions between Israel and Iran have escalated after Iranian missile strikes wounded at least 240 people in Israel, including 80 at the Soroka Medical Center. Israel retaliated with fresh attacks on Iran's nuclear infrastructure, including the Arak heavy water reactor. In the latest developments, Iran has appointed a new head of the IRGC intelligence unit. Majid Kadhimi has been appointed as the new head of the IRGC intelligence unit following the death of Mohammad Kazemi in an Israeli strike. Earlier, Israel Defense Forces had claimed that they attacked several areas in Tehran, targeting key military installations. According to the IDF, the Israeli Air Force had deployed more than 60 fighter jets and downed UAVs launched by Iran, firing over 120 munitions in the operations. The statement released by the IDF added that several missile and manufacturing industrial sites in Iran's Tehran, as well as the SPAN headquarters, were attacked. Hezbollah, meanwhile, has vowed full support to Iran in this ongoing conflict with Israel. Well, joining us now live is Tal Hurtov. She's currently in Haifa, Israel. Well, let me in fact let me go across to you, Tal. Thank you very much for being with us today on Newsx, and hope you and your family are staying safe at this time.
Thank you very much. It's good to be with you again.
Tal, let me begin by asking you about what the latest situation in Haifa is. Haifa has borne the brunt of multiple of the attacks by Iran in the last few days.
Yes, you're absolutely right. The Iranians targeted our oil refineries, and they did have a direct hit. But with that, it's going to be up and running in just a few days' time. Haifa, you're absolutely correct. It is quite a hot spot, as they say. But recently, the last 2 days has turned its attention to down south, to Beersheba, however you want to call it. We had 3 missile barrages today. And of course, yesterday, they intentionally targeted a hospital, which, by the way, is a war crime. And I don't hear any, Western international media talking about that. And another war crime they did yesterday was they used a cluster bomb. Now, that means you strike a particular place, let's say in Tel Aviv, and inside that bomb, there's other bombs, and they just spread so vastly. And these are 2 very, very serious war crimes perpetrated by the Iranian regime. But Israel, we're resilient. The civilians were extremely disciplined. It might be frustrating that we're confined to a home because we don't know when the next barrage is coming. But this is an important war. It's a war of no choice. We had the Iranians threatening us several times on video to absolutely obliterate the Jewish state. So unfortunately, it's a necessary war. And we're going to preserve to the end so that Iran will no longer be a nuclear threat, either to ourselves or our neighbors in the region.
Yes, Tal, also now, for you, of course, what is the routine like? Are you getting much sleep, or is a lot of the night spent in the bunkers? Of course, I think a red alert is issued for that city where you are, Haifa. How is life over there for you currently in your routine?
Well, thank you. That's actually a very, very thoughtful question. We have several ways of operating. We have the emergency first responders who are wandering around the cities. We have, of course, our amazing Air Force and Mossad who are busy doing what they're doing. Now, for other people like myself who are civilian, what it means is the home front. The army responsible for instructions to civilians. They're very, very good. They give us updates every few minutes. So we have restrictions at the moment. And those restrictions are there should not be any public gathering over 30 people without a safe room. And no going to the beach. All the beaches are closed. And only people who are working, essential workers, are allowed to go. Now, what does that mean for most of the civilians? It means we're pretty much confined to our homes. What I saw this morning, it's like after the missile attack, we're beginning to take a little bit of a chance that we know there won't be another one immediately. So the moment the home front gives us the all clear to come out, People quickly leave their homes, take the dogs for a walk for 10 minutes and come back in. But very, very much it seems to be a waiting game. You know, you're really inside the house all the time, and we're living from rocket alert to rocket alert. But as I said, we're resilient. We know this is necessary. It might be frustrating. It's not ideal by any chance. The kids aren't at school. But the way our military are conducting this war, we're very hopeful that it won't take too much longer.
Okay, let me also ask you then, Tal, about this intention, this objective of the war, which is to rid Iran of its capability to build a nuclear weapon. Are the people of Israel, are you completely in line with your government in this objective, with the military in this objective? Are the people of Israel standing with your leadership in this objective of theirs?
I love your questions, actually. I've done a few interviews and you really get to the point.
Thank you.
As you know, Israel is a very vibrant society, and we argue and we contest, and all of this is to get to the essence of the matter. So before this war started with Iran, you could say that there was a real political, hot discussions. But since this war broke out, it's quite incredible to see that even Prime Minister Netanyahu, some of his greatest rivals, they are thoroughly behind him. They've given incredible vocalizations. They've conducted interviews of support. And it's the same for the people of Israel. Like I said, we have many, many opinions amongst ourselves. But look, I'm not a statistician, but I don't see anywhere on the social media or on the news, whether it be left or right wing, where the people are not behind this. It's actually, I've been in Israel for decades. Obviously, this is probably the most united front I've ever experienced when it comes to the people of Israel. There's no voices of dissension saying, oh, but maybe we shouldn't, because this is a war where we have to. And by the way, if I can, good sir, it was very interesting to see a few days ago it's really an axis of evil and against an axis of good. And I'll probably get into trouble for saying this, but the people who are going to side with Iran, you know what their motives are. And Pakistan were one of the first countries to get their hands dirty and suggest that they'd intervene in this war. So I feel that what Israel is doing, we're not just fighting for Israel, we're fighting for the Middle East and for the good of the world.
Yes, as you're saying, countries like Pakistan stand completely exposed, do you believe? For their stance for terror?
Well, I don't know if they're exposed, because they've been exposing themselves for the last several decades, with that terrible attack in India that they perpetrated against your wonderful people, for their infiltration, especially in Britain, into the educational curriculums with their jihadism. Pakistan is they're not even hiding it. It's a shame, really, that to focus throughout the world. At the moment, it has to be Iran and Israel. But the issue that Pakistan is a terrorist state is not really given the appropriate coverage that it deserves in the Western media.
You're right. And let's hope that does change in the near future. Now, Tal, I have to ask you also about the United States. Are you hopeful that they will get directly involved in this conflict? They're mulling over it. We've been told by the White House that they will take a decision within the next 2 weeks. Are you hopeful that they will get directly involved with Israel so that this war finishes a bit sooner rather than later?
Well, yes, I think from the point of view of it finishing sooner, that would be very, very helpful. I think there's a lot of scaremongering from the left, like, oh, we shouldn't do this, America shouldn't be involved. And you can see where these voices are coming from. You can't just wish for peace and rainbows and goodwill on earth without taking action. So are we hopeful? We're hopeful, but then again, if I look and see what Israel has managed to do in 7 days, and Iran was a regional power, in 7 days, we've pretty much undone it. So whether President Trump decides to do so or not, attack these remaining nuclear facilities, it's his decision. And of course, I think it would shorten the war. But I don't put it past Israel for one moment. And Prime Minister said yesterday in an interview, he said, we're perfectly capable of taking care of things of ourselves as well. Okay,
my final question to you, when you have gone out yourselves, have you had a chance to, see the damage or see some of the destruction done by Iran as yet in your city?
Yes, and also, friends, when they're wandering around, they'll take photos. We just send it on WhatsApp. So yes, there is some damage, but we're very good at rebuilding. Israel has always had to rebuild, and that's what we're doing as a people. And when you look at the surface and the collateral damage in some areas of Haifa or in other areas of Israel, I mean, thank God more people haven't been killed. It's incredible when you see some of the damage. So I think that's kind of a metaphor, and that gives us a lot of momentum to carry on, because you look at the collateral damage and we're saying to ourselves, in the light of what we're doing, which is making history, these damage to buildings, it's simply just a scratch.
All right. My thanks to you, Tal Hurto, for joining us on Newsx, and stay safe in this conflict. More breaking news now coming in. Iranian Foreign Minister Arakchi has spoken on the ongoing conflict with Israel and Iran's likeliness of partaking in talks for negotiations. According to state TV, Abbas Arakchi said that Iran is not prepared for talks with anyone, while Israel continues their attacks. Aditya Vadavan is joining us for more on this story. Aditya, give us more details about this statement by the Iran Foreign Minister.
Well, absolutely, Agrachi, the Iranian foreign minister, has made a statement that it will not at all talk with any country as far as Israel keeps attacking Iran. At this juncture, we have seen how these nuclear talks between US and Iran were stalled, since Israel has started attacking Iran. So, at this juncture, Iran is making it very clear that the dialogue will only have to take place when Israel, when these attacks stop, and Iran's perspective is also heard. Iranian foreign ministry has also clarified earlier that it is Iran's legitimate right, to use nuclear energy, energy for research purposes, and it will not, produce a nuclear bomb. However, still, as per their version, as per the Iranian version, the UK, all the Western countries, and America are exerting pressure on Iran, to end its nuclear program. That it is not acceptable to them, and that is why we have seen that tit for tat attacks between Israel and Iran are continuing, and now Iran also hitting key targets in Israel. They are also hitting hospitals and other military installations of the Israeli Defense Forces, whereas Israel is also hitting critical Iranian nuclear installations like Arak nuclear installation and other military facilities. Yes, so that.
More breaking news now coming in. Israeli Defense Minister has warned Hezbollah against joining the conflict with Iran. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has warned Lebanon's Hezbollah to exercise caution, saying Israel's patience with terrorists who threaten it had worn thin. Earlier, the head of Iran-backed Hezbollah, Naim Qassem, had said the Lebanese group would act as it saw fit in the face of what he called brutal Israeli-American aggression against Iran. The group has made no explicit pledge to join the fighting, and Hezbollah official told Reuters last week that the group did not intend to initiate attacks against Israel. Aditya Vadavan is live with us. Aditya, the Israeli Defense Minister has issued a warning.
Well, absolutely, they have issued a warning. The Israeli Defense Minister has issued a warning to the Hezbollah that if any attack, takes place from the Hezbollah, there will be dire consequences for them. And we have seen, how for several months now, Israel and Hezbollah are, embroiled in a deep conflict over the Israel-Lebanon border. And at this juncture, such statements further accentuate this war between Israel and Iran, and this there could be catastrophic consequences for the entire Middle East, because no one is actually stepping in to stop this war once and for all. Attacks are going on from both the sides. Now, it needs to be seen how and when will these attacks stop, and whether further rounds of nuclear talks will happen between Iran and US. This needs to be seen. Yes, Uday.
More breaking news now coming in. Iran has appointed a new head for the IRGC intelligence unit. Majid Kadhimi has been named as the new head of IRGC intelligence unit after Israeli strike. This is, of course, after the death of the former IRGC head Mohammad Kazemi in an Israeli strike amidst the tensions. Aditya Vadavan is live with us on this story. Aditya, this intelligence agency in Iran getting a new head now?
Well, absolutely. The intelligence agency, the agency in Iran now getting a new head, because the Israeli strikes have eliminated the former head of the Iranian intelligence, and there are at this juncture so many new senior most military generals of the Iranian army and the senior most nuclear scientists of Iran who have been eliminated in these Israeli airstrikes. However, this line of this leadership within the Iranian regime is very, very tense, because there are many people who work under Khamenei, and the person who has been made the head of the Iranian intelligence agency is very close to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, and it needs to be seen from here on what steps will the Iranian regime now take, because in the wake of continued attacks by the Israeli Air Force and the Israeli Defense Forces.
All right, more breaking news. Meanwhile, coming in. Now, as tensions escalate in West Asia, the Indian government is stepping in to assess the fallout of the Iran-Israel conflict on the country's trade. The Commerce Ministry will be meeting key stakeholders, including exporters, shipping lines and logistics firms, to evaluate disruptions and strategize a response. This high-level meeting is to be chaired by Commerce Secretary Sunil Barthwal. It comes amidst rising concerns over shipping routes, insurance and container movement. The outcome could shape India's immediate trade policy in the region. Aditya Vadhavan is live with us on this big story. Aditya, what time is this meeting scheduled and what's on the agenda?
Well, this meeting will be held today. And, at this juncture, the Commerce Ministry has called out for this meeting because, at this juncture, everybody knows that, India imports its oil from the Middle East, and and already in the past we have seen how this Iran-Israel war has taken the prices of the oil to sky high. Per barrel, the prices of the oil has increased by 7%, and this will get further costlier for the world, because as this war, if this war goes on between Iran and Israel, because Middle East are all the Middle East countries are primarily the oil-producing countries. So at this juncture, keeping this in the view, Commerce Ministry has called for a special meeting to discuss the effect on trade between due to the war between Iran and Israel, and it needs to be seen from here on what steps are taken by the Commerce Ministry in this regard.
More breaking developments now coming in. In Bangkok, Thailand, Prime Minister Shinawatra is facing a political crisis after the leak of a private phone call with former Cambodian leader Hun Sen. In the recording, the poll deputy refers to Hun Sen as uncle and criticizes the Thai military commander as an opponent and seeks a diplomatic resolution to a border clash. Despite apologizing and insisting it was a negotiation tactic, the scandal has triggered the exit of a key coalition partner and intensified calls for her resignation, marking a precarious moment for the administration in Thailand.
ไทยพี่น้องประชาชนนะคะคนไทยทุกๆคนที่มีในเรื่องของกรณีที่มีคลิปเสียงหลุดออกมาระหว่างที่ดิฉันคุยกับผู้นำทางกัมพูชานะคะก็จริงๆเป็นเรื่องประเทศไทยค่ะเพื่อมายื่นหนังสือประท้วงนะคะเพื่อแสดงความผิดหวังอย่างยิ่งต่อการกระทำของผู้นำกัมพูชาค่ะอันนี้จริงๆทั่วโลกไม่มีใครทำแบบนี้นะคะที่ผู้นำคุยกันไม่ว่าจะเป็นประเทศใหญ่ๆที่มีการตกลงกันหรือมีการพูดคุยเจรจาใดๆเนี่ยรัฐบาลไทยนะคะก็กับกองทัพนะคะก็ขอแสดงความรับผิดชอบในเรื่องของการปกป้องอธิปไตยนะคะที่เรากำลังดูแลร่วมกันนะคะแล้วก็ขอยืนยันอีกครั้งว่าทางรัฐบาลกับกองทัพเองเป็นหนึ่งเดียวกันก็อยากให้พี่น้องประชาชนเป็นหนึ่งเดียวกับเราด้วยนะคะ
Mendi Garg is joining us for more details on this story. Mendi, what is the current situation now regarding Thailand government? Is it still rocky, or has the situation now been salvaged a bit by Shinawatra?
By the way, this leaked phone call between Thailand Prime Minister Shinawatra and a former Cambodian leader has brought her coalition government under immense pressure, and right now the pressure still remains because as public anger and calls for a resignation grew. And Ms. Shinawatra has apologized as well there, but flagged by military chiefs and senior figures as well from her party. The 38-year-old leader has said that she apologizes for the leaked audio of the conversation with the Cambodian leader. But right now, the difficulties for her still pertains, and also in the discussion over the phone call, where the Thai PM referred to Hun Sen, who has been out of office in Cambodia since 2023, but still wields some influence as uncle. And Hun Manet, the son of Mr. Sen, is the leader of Cambodia now. So this political scandal in the Southeast Asian kingdom has come at a critical time right now, Uday. And Mr. Shinawatra has been in power for only 10 months, and her government is making efforts to, provide a fillip to a slow economy. So the country is also in the middle of trade deal negotiations to avoid being on the harsh end of Donald Trump's tariff war as well. So indeed, it is a very difficult time for Ms. Shinawatra as well. And after this political scandal happened, her party has also become against her. So as far as relations with Cambodia are concerned, they are said to be at their lowest in years over a border dispute, which many say may escalate again. But indeed, right now, Ms. Shinawatra have said that the Thai army commander in the country's northeast was an opponent, and a comment that hasn't gone down well with the people of the country. So as of now, she has apologized, but still the political scandal and this controversy remains. Yes, Uday.
Breaking news coming in this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has flagged off the Vande Bharat Express between Patliputra and Gorakhpur via video conferencing. These are the latest details coming in from Bihar. The Prime Minister is on a Bihar visit today. Ritesh Mishra is joining us for more on this story. Ritesh, this much-awaited train has been flagged off now?
बिल्कुल, देखिए कि ये इस ट्रेन का इंतजार खास तौर पर सिवान के लोगों को बहुत ज्यादा था और इसके इनॉग्रेशन से, इसके फ्लैग ऑफ से अब देखिए कि जहां 11 घंटे लोगों को लगते थे गोरखपुर में जाने में, अब 7 घंटे में ये सारे लोग चले जाएंगे। तो सबसे बड़ी बात है कि प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने इसका ऑनलाइन वीडियो के जरिए उद्घाटन किया है, लेकिन लोगों को लंबे अरसे से इसका इंतजार था कि कब इस ट्रेन का उद्घाटन हो, कब वो वंदे भारत में चढ़ेंगे और कब जो पटना से इतना ज्यादा समय लगता है, 11 घंटे 12 घंटे लग जाते थे, उसमें कमी आएगी। तो लोगों की लंबे समय से जो इच्छा थी उसे प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने पूरा किया और लोग इसको लेकर बेहद खुश हैं। जी।
More breaking news meanwhile coming in this hour. In a new development, a United States appeals court has let Donald Trump retain control of California's National Guard while the state's Democratic governor proceeds with a lawsuit challenging the Republican president's use of the troops to quell protests in Los Angeles. Earlier, Trump's decision to send troops into LA had prompted a national debate about the use of the military on US soil and inflamed political tensions in the country's second most populous city. So this is the latest news coming in. Donald Trump retains control of the National Guards. Obviously, the court's decision is a boost for him. Arzu Seth is joining us for more on this story. This comes as good news for the United States President. Arzu.
Well, definitely, Uday, the U.S. appeals court has allowed Donald Trump to retain control over California's National Guard. And despite, the Governor Gavin's newsroom lawsuit challenging the president's decision to deploy troops to quell the protests in Los Angeles. But yes, troops deployed 4,000 National Guard troops to Los Angeles amid the protests and unrest over the immigration race against the against the governor's wishes, and also the governor filed a lawsuit urging that troops action violated U.S. law governing the use of National Guard troops and the state sovereignty. But yes, a big relief and the good news for the Trump and U.S. District Judge Carlos ruled that the Trump had unlawfully called the National Guard into the federal service, citing failure to coordinate with Newsom and the absence of coordination with that would justify such a move. And the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals extended a pause on the Beard's ruling, allowing Trump to maintain control over the National Guard. The panel suggested that the Trump probably acted within his authority and that the condition for federalizing the National Guard might have been met due to the protest. So yes, the Trump hailed the decision, stating it was a great decision for our country and that he would continue to protect law-abiding Americans. Yes, Uday.
More breaking developments now coming in. An Indigo flight bound for Madurai was diverted back to Chennai due to a technical fault. The pilot detected the issue mid-air and sought emergency clearance. All 68 passengers were safely evacuated after landing. In another development, Air India has announced a temporary reduction in operations from the 21st of June to the 15th of July. Brian Thomas is joining us for more on this story. Brian, news regarding the aviation sector coming in. What has happened with this Indigo flight?
where Uday, clearly, Air Indigo, there was one news we've covered about, the delay that happened and cancellations rather of the Air India flights in the domestic region. And just a while after, Indigo has also come in the picture. Clearly, this very mid-air technical fault has forced an Indigo flight that was bound for Madurai to return to Chennai International Airport. That happened just a while back. Now, clearly also, if we talk about the incident, Uday, it occurred approximately around 30 minutes after takeoff, which was carrying around 68 passengers, all of whom fortunately were safely evacuated upon landing. Now, what we are getting to know from our officials itself, what they have been saying, they confirmed that the pilot detected the very issue and made the precautionary decision to turn back without taking any risk. And as per what we are getting to know itself, there were no injuries also that were reported. And it also underscored Indigo's adherence to in-flight safety protocols that they maintained also at that point of time, Uday.
All right. And now let's just talk about Air India for a second, Brian. Reportedly, Air India has announced a temporary reduction in international operations. What has led to this decision?
Well, Uday, clearly it is being effective from June 21st to July 15th, where Air India will now temporarily reduce frequencies on several international routes. And now if you talk about the move, it is part of this voluntary initiative to undertake enhanced pre-flight safety checks and account for longer flight duration due to the emerging airspace restrictions that is happening in Middle East. Now, the airline has also said that they have taken these proactive steps to restore overall schedule stability. They've, suspended the temporary services till to Nairobi, to North America, Europe, Australia, and Far East itself.
Thank you, Brian Thomas, for joining us with those details. In fact, Brian has also filed a ground report on this big story.
Amidst the tensions between both Iran and Israel and the Middle East tensions, now many such flights are trying to reduce their fleet capabilities, trying towards those very operations. Now itself, we are at the very IGI Airport Terminal 3 arrival. You can see the visuals also. And clearly also Air India has made this very announcement that temporary reduction in international flight operations will be there. And Air India will be temporarily also reducing frequencies on several international routes and suspend select services, which is a move that is a part of an initiative to undertake enhanced pre-flight durations to ongoing airspace restriction into the Middle East itself. And we are here itself, we have the entire situation here where the routes are temporarily suspended until 15th July. The flights that are suspended, the list of the flights that are suspended are Delhi-Nairobi, that is 4x weekly, suspended till 30th June. There will be routes which is reduced frequencies, that is Delhi to Toronto, Delhi to Vancouver, Delhi to San Francisco, Delhi to Chicago, and Delhi to Washington DC. Even in Europe itself, Delhi, London, Delhi, Bangalore, London, Amritsar, Delhi, Delhi, Paris, Delhi, Milan, Delhi, Vienna, Delhi, Amsterdam, and in Australia also Delhi, Melbourne and Delhi, Sydney have been reduced. For East itself, Delhi, Tokyo, Delhi, Seoul has been reduced. So yes, this is a part of the reduction that these airlines are taking to ensure the safety of the passenger. Yesterday itself, under Operation Sindhu itself, many flights were, they came from Iran itself, 110 passengers came successfully and they returned to their respective homes. And many such fleets are also being undertaken by by Indigo, by the Indian agencies, by the Indian authorities, by the Indian embassy itself. And this is a plan, this is an initiative that India is taking to the passengers, the people who are stranded in Iran to get them back to Operation Sindhu. And